Yo yo, what's poppin' gamers? My name's OXSN and Mr. Nature's joining the live. If you don't know Mr. Nature, let's get that geezer up in here. He's got a YouTube channel in it, and his missus has got a YouTube channel also. Look, if you can see here, we've been trying to go live for fucking ages. But it ain't working. We tried loads of times on Instagram and loads of times on fucking... But yeah, it's but yeah, hopefully Mr. Nature will join here in a second. Because so far it's been doing is being very glitchy. I've pressed accept. Go live again, I pressed. Go live. Should work shortly, maybe just give it a time to load, who knows. We love these apps, bro. There's another one, look. 16 minutes we've been trying to go live on either platform, and none of them, we've literally got two completely functioning phones and none of them is allowing us to fucking work. It's crazy, man. I have no idea to think about this predicament, gamers. This right here. Seems like we're getting attacked by the Matrix, obviously. Because me and Mr. Nature are so freaking epic that the Matrix is obviously out to get us. That's why it ain't fucking working. Oh, we got another one. Go live. Accept. Go live. Even the interface is just clearly very poorly designed because it doesn't even make any fucking sense. Yes, please. Yes.
Well, holy Jesus.
Yes.
Holy Jesus.
Oh my god. See, half an hour suspense just to fucking get on a... See, everyone's, hopefully your viewers will still be here. They're all coming back now, like, finally.
Yeah, it happened. Patience.
Oh my god. That's right. That was a mission. I think that was like sixth attempt we tried to go live just to... Jesus. But yeah, I mean, here we are anyway. What's poppin'? We've been talking a bit today. I think almost every time I have a conversation with you, I'm like, oh, we should have fucking made this a YouTube video. That's what I was thinking earlier, nearly. Because you've got so much wisdom that what me and Mr. Nature basically has got we're thinking about is how I reckon we should do quite a lot of conversation talks, like long form, because I think that we both got super knowledge, and every time we speak I'm like, this is super golden, and every time we have spoken in the past it's been the bestest. So
yeah, I'm happy to be here. I always love talking to you. We always get flowy conversations about consciousness that just effortlessly.
Yeah, I never know where to begin though, I guess. What I do know is I wish I had a fucking joint so I could smoke up with you, but you know.
Bomb.
What do you think of oh, that's a stupid question. I was just gonna say, like, there's all these like personal development channels, like, you need to quit smoking weed. Like, you think weed can be a problem, don't you think? Or do you think it's you said it, I saw, what did you say about weed literally meaning like happiness in some other culture or something, like, doesn't it?
Yeah, like in Hinduism, like in the ancient Bibles, weed is a source of joy or a source of enlightenment. It literally removes darkness and like shatters your ego and brings you up to the light. Like, it's literally an angel. It's like a healing angel. But of course, anything can be abused or anything like that. But it's more like weed if you're just running from like escaping and you're trying to escape reality all the time and you're not happy where you are, then you can turn anything into an addiction. Like you can
Yeah.
turn fucking eating into an addiction. You can turn even like going to the gym and working out, you can turn that into a bad addiction if you just like trying to get away from your emotions and where you are and all of these things. But the thing with weed is that the people that try to escape into weed, after a while, they're like, oh shit, I'm too paranoid. I'm this, I'm that. But
Mm.
that's actually their ego starting to break down, and then they pussy out. Like they don't actually know what's happening. Consciousness is opening out and they want to close it. They want to close it. Like, I don't want to look at myself. I don't want to look at myself. And that's what people think
Yo,
is like paranoia and stuff like that from weed.
well, yeah, well, whatever any like substance shows me normally, yeah, like it seems to just be like a mirror, and it normally, especially if it's like of the plant medicine world. But I think an important facet as well is recently, like this entire summer, I basically most of my free time I spent sat by the lake in the sun, grounding, like connected with the grass and shit, doing breath work. But that's something about like this super high quality weed that I got that like basically mobilized me to heal with the breathing, and it became my favorite thing ever to do breathwork in the sun along with health. But then what I was going to say is like, don't you see how like a lot of the weed around here, like probably the vast majority of what the kids are smoking is actually not even really weed at all. It depends. Like it's like proper shit to the point where it's like actually not even any good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But also, like, when I was in the UK, for example, like you're from the UK, I thought the weed was really strange, like star dog shit and stuff like that. Like it
Yeah.
smelled weird, like, and I was like, what the fuck? Like it tastes weird, like, but still, like, it was still THC. It's just grown more Babylon, more chemical nutrients, more this, like all of
Mm.
this, like it still got the molecule of life in it. Like it still got like THC, which is a psychedelic, like DMT or LSD or psilocybin. It still got that molecule,
Yeah. Well,
but it's
well,
gonna be different. It's not gonna benefit. It's gonna bring you lower. Like it makes you lazier because
yeah.
it's so fucking strong. Like
Wait, because weed seems to lower like a lot of people's vibrations, but I mean, because like when you have proper like Cali or whatever, like the top high shelf, like this vibrant like alien moon rock looking shit, that stuff is like proper psychoactive, like healing. But then there's some stuff that you smoke it and it literally just like dries your throat out and it just fucking tastes like really boggy, if that's a good
yeah, yeah.
word. And it's
But
like,
for
yeah,
me,
go
the best is like if you can just grow your own weed. Like I grew a few plants this
on.
summer, and it's like without nutrients or anything, just water and sun, and it's like it's the best. Like you smoke your own grown weed from some high grade strain, but you grew it naturally. You're gonna be tripping when you're smoking that weed. Like you're not gonna feel like, oh, I'm getting slow or this. Like your pineal gland is activating, and you're fucking woo.
That's what I mean. Because the reason I said anything that I just said is that, like, when I started to smoke this super weed, along with the breathing and the good diet, it's like it was actually like ascending me into some fucking like I felt I was healing loads, like in combination with when I was sleeping on it and stuff. Compared to the normal stuff, like when I just upped the quality, it became like some next level holy medicine.
For sure, it is, and it can even be that in these super strong Babylon strains because it's like it's nature. Like it cannot be that bad for you. It's still a fucking plant. Like no matter how much man fucks with it and grows it and put nutrients to make higher THC, higher this, less CBD, it's still
Mm.
got the same molecules. It's still a flower, and but there is a big difference, like in the way it makes your consciousness like react to it. Because one weed, this Babylon thing, you can use it for meditation, but then you have to be really conscious and have a sacred intention for it to give you a really meditative experience. But if you're smoking really organically grown weed that was grown with love and consciously, you smoke that weed and it just lightens everything up super easily and it brings you closer to yourself and it becomes way more psychedelic, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I have heard about the setting the intention and that. I don't know. Weed is quite deep. Like, did you ever have, like, because weed for a lot of stoners is just weed. But then in my early days, I smoked some weed when I was like younger, uh, maybe like 16 years old. and I'd have like a full like psychedelic thing, not like a full expansive thing like that, but it's not so mystical. But I had like nearly bad trips on it, like n nearly the same, like where you completely lose control and you're like jumping through time and shit like that, and like kind of the same about not like completely like a bad trip, but it's like you don't know how you got where you are and stuff. Some of my first smokes, they sent me into like the spiral realms.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That also because weed is so fucking strong. Like if you ever travel and you go to Asia and go to Nepal or India and you go to the mountains and you get some mountain weed, it got like fucking 4% THC and the buds are like this small and it's like a lot of seeds and it's like you barely feel it. You smoke it and you're like, oh, I'm a little bit relaxed now. You barely feel like that's the natural weed before man was like shoop, 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 strong, 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 strong. Like before it just made you a little bit relaxed and you were like, oh, nice. And then you had to make edibles or you had to make hash for it to be strong. Now weed is just fucking strong as it is. Like,
Yeah, I have seen some of like the CBD weeds that this guy was growing, and it literally looked nothing like actual weed. But that's what I mean. There's so much diversity. It's people like when people say like weed is bad or weed is good. It's like it very much depends on what you're eating, what your mind state's like, what strain it is, and things of that nature. It's not just weed. You know what I mean? It's like calling everything drugs. It's like another one of
yeah,
them categories. It's just way too like a blanket term. But yeah, there's that anyway.
yeah. But it's just like that weed even is bad is technically just a propaganda from the Babylon to arrest black people when they came to America and they wanted to put them into slavery and put them into prison. They made their drug illegal and started arresting them and they ended slavery, but they made slavery in the open through prisons and drug arrests
Yeah,
in the ghetto.
wasn't yeah. I swear there was like a lot of racist intention with the way that they like tried to name the substance, etc. I think they tried to make it kind of much more lenient towards those of color or something like that, so they could get They're trying to like nothing is how it seems on the surface often. So it's like they introduce rules and laws that look like on the surface like they're trying to do good for the public, but it's actually like aimed towards certain races because they know that they're going to be the ones that are going away for it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
have you had
So
any?
the drug war is just
I
racism. Sorry.
was going to say, when was the last time you encountered the Godhead and like full blown infinity, like love awakening, where you're just on the floor, like.
Literally, like, basically every moment, always. But the
Oh
last
yeah.
time I flew away was I don't even remember. What the fuck was it? I haven't been taking so much big trips, but I smoked DMT like 3 weeks ago. That was quite intense. But literally, I feel like that like Godhead moment is always it's this moment. This is it. Like if I'm on 100 mics or if I'm on 1,000 mics, like the light of awareness is always here. If you look around, everything you look at right now, this is the body of God. Look at this juice. Look at this spliff. Look at the bowl. Like you're literally
Mm.
in the light. You're already in God's infinite, perfected creation. Like it doesn't require for me to taste it or psilocybin to recognize how fucking amazing and intelligent this creation is. But
Yeah, true. I mean, I guess I only asked that question coming from like that's how it is for me, and that's how a lot of people in the scene like seem to portray it as like. But I mean, if you're, it's like kind of how what's it, Ram Dass's guru? He supposedly gave him a lot of LSD, and it did not do anything to him because he's like already there.
yeah, but I think for sure he tripped. He had some hallucinations, but it didn't affect him because it's not gonna shock him when his ego dissolves when he's already with God.
Yeah, because that's the the crazy thing is, like, that's what I often tell myself, like, sometimes before trips, or I did in the past, is I'd look at the substance and go, right, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to sit here and somehow, based on my past experience, this handful of stuff is just going to literally like pull my mind through a fucking spinning vortex. And it does every time, but it's like I'm only sat there. But how does it like? But then if you're a certain type of person, it doesn't always do that. And it very much depends, I think.
I
There's a lot
think
of factors.
it always does that if you're not distracting yourself with a restless mind and you're trying to do things. Because these things we're talking about is from being. It's our natural being. It's
Mm.
not something that we need to do or become or achieve. It's the thing that's always there that we just recognize as our being. So mushrooms always bring us back to that point. LSD always bring us back to that point. But if you're constantly chasing thought after thought after thought, instead of sitting down and like,
Yeah.
show me what you got, like,
Right, so this is interesting because you see, I noticed on a lot of my trips, especially those that are like in a quiet setting where I'm just sat there, is like I I don't know I don't know if you are like in no mind half the time, and then me like 'cause when I have my trips, it's like I can have a full trip, but if I actually take a step back, it's like all I've done the whole time is chase loads of thoughts. It's like I take it and I go, and then I realize loads of stuff basically, and there's like that's seeming, but it seems to be like a narrative. It's like, oh, that's why I was like this, is because of
yeah,
this. And now
yeah,
I understand, and that's every trip I have nearly.
yeah, yeah.
Like, so am I just thinking? And obviously, because there could be a lot more to it. Like if I'm on a being level, perhaps it won't do that so much. You get me? Or it's
Exactly.
different.
And that's
LSD and shrooms are different. Sorry.
it's like what you're saying, like that you're thinking you got the answer. Like, and if you even listen to like Hinduism, like if you think you got it, you don't got it. Like, because it's prior to thinking.
Right, but there's this thing though, because right, I've been. This is what I've kind of been. So, like, when I ask you questions, it's because I feel, well, obviously, you just have your own knowledge and experience in different domains, even though we're both conscious and had experiences of kind of the same stuff and we're interested in the same stuff. But say this guy, yeah, as you're very familiar with,
Yeah,
so he says he has a problem with like Buddhism, kind of, and I think I intuit that he not that he has a problem with it, but like Ram Dass and Alan Watts, or this kind of idea of shutting down the mind. He basically says, here's how he says it. He says like that's going down, where you shut it all
yeah,
down, and like, but then there's a different way, which is like interconnected God realization. And I remember you were saying that it's for me, I said for me personally, it gets more complex as I learn more. But you were saying that for you over time, things are getting simpler. And I
yeah.
don't know potentially if like, because there's so many different branches to awakening, or is it a binary thing, or what do you have to
For
say about this?
I I look at it like this, like first of all about no mind or shutting the mind down. You don't want to shut the mind down. You want to quiet the mind. You want to slow it down. You want to move from stillness and peace, where it's like you have concentrated thinking, you have one pointed thinking that serves you, and your willpower is strong because you're not jumping between, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're moving from a space of truth, of stillness in your mind. So you're creating your thoughts more in a focused way. And that is
Yeah,
using your mind from no mind, because it's not about having no mind completely. It's about realizing that you are prior to the mind. The mind is not only you. A thought is not all that you are. One thought is not all you are. This concept of you. And moving from thought to thought makes you limited. And when you move from stillness, you have concentrated thought and more willpower. You don't shutting down the mind, you're learning how to actually use the mind instead of being used by the mind.
That's what you're describing to me sounds like my recent LSD experiences, and I didn't research much, none of this. I just some of the experiences wasn't really there, but a lot of the LSD experiences recently, they seem to be very 0 point, like this very everything is awake. LSD seems to make everything vibrate
Alive.
higher or faster. Yeah, it's like it's more like I see more, but it's more like I'm basically no, it increases the frame rate like on a video game. That's how I
Yeah.
see it. It's normally I'm at like 10 frames a second, but LSD is like 120 frames a second. And but like that's in terms of my awakeness, and that's what I would probably define as frequency. But yeah, I do I understand what you're saying because I think I realized psychedelics have taught me that I have spent a lot of my time, and I think a lot of people are in general, in like a mental prison where your behavior is restricted and what you believe you can do, etc. is like you live in a bubble of your own mind, and like it's very rigid. And psychedelics, like when you wake up, you realize that you're like free a lot more. But like the mind normally, I think being asleep makes everything look more limited, and being awake makes everything seem much less limited and more open and
Yeah.
expansive.
Because in the end, like, let me explain, when you're in your mind all the time, like constantly thinking, you're not actually in the present moment. You're thinking about the past or the future, trying to plan it and calculate it and think about it. Like, did I say something wrong there? What am I going to do in the future? And when you're from those mind states of consciousness, trying to change things with your willpower, like, oh, I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to stop lying, or whatever you want to change from thoughts, you won't be able to do it because you're not changing it from the present moment. From the present moment, you will be here, you will be relaxed, your mind will be slow, and you will choose a thought that supports your action. And you will change it now. You won't thinking like, am I going to do it tomorrow? Am I going to do it over there? Like, you actually move from this moment. And when you're moving from the illusion of the past and future, it becomes really hard to have a proper willpower, and then you're not free. Like, basically, we're talking about freedom.
This kind of feels like a lot of what maybe Illuminati Congo's album Time Killers is maybe about. Like, it seems like, because I remember there was this segment of like text to speech audio, and it was saying that the time, like basically slow right down and like you go into like your heart center and stuff. And when I was on LSD for a few days and I was listening to a lot of Ram Dass, he was talking about learning how to like move energy up and down your spine and shit with your like
Yeah,
awareness alone and things like this. And it's like, for me, yeah, what I realized over the past few days while on LSD is doesn't everything begin like while everyone's running around, not checking their frequency, like just taking actions? And I swear, like the main thing is to just wake up first. Like I intuited a while ago that you can just cultivate awareness just naturally if you just sit here and just kind of meditate, but in like not maybe like a strict narrow path necessarily, but you just focus on your breath, or you might do a few affirmations here and there, and then before you know it, your field is so much more like awake, and from there lie the answers. But then when you're lost in this future normal, because most people are so sporadic, they wake up, they pick up their phone, their mind starts running, and then they're trapped in the future, they're trapped in the past, and then you're trapped in this same like time loop of the same behaviors. But then when you wake up in the center, and that is when you realize your infinite opportunities and options, but then you can also move from a place of like intuition. And when I was on
yeah,
the LSD and I was in the 0 point in the center, all of my thoughts were like genius the whole time, but the thoughts stemmed from the being.
yeah, for sure. And that is like what you're talking about waking up first before you do anything or whatever. It's literally says so in almost every Bible. First, seek the kingdom of God. Like, first, know thyself. Before you find money, family, whatever, first look within, find God, look within, know thyself. And then everything will be added on to you, because then you're one, you're in symbiotic like resonance with all of the omnipresent universe. Every angel, every universe, everything in all of the universes everywhere support every action you take, because you're one with it all. So you're literally one with the all-knowing, all-seeing eye every step you take. And then you're gonna be a fucking genius naturally from your intuition, because the people that got this before, it was like Leonardo da Vinci and people that built things that we remember for thousands of years. Like, and now we're in the resonance when like everybody's fucking waking up. Like, and we're entering the golden age. But this is the first steps. The people that take it, they realize it and show it. Like, that's what we're doing. And it's all done with source. Because if you're in the now, if you're in stillness, if you're at peace within yourself, you're with God, because God is love, peace, and harmony. So when you are with that, you're in the now. And in the now,
I
you can
know.
talk about 0 point, do nothing, no mind, works. But you can also create from infinity, from the present moment.
See, when you say God is love and like it's there's many different ways I've heard of people talking of God, but it's like it seems to be like a state of awareness, a state of being. Or often it can be an experience, maybe like a full-blown psychedelic experience, or it's really everything. Obviously, I guess to an extent it depends how you define it. To me, you know when it's God, so it doesn't matter what you call it inherently, but it is we're pointing to the same thing. I'll kind
Yeah,
of wanna. Sorry, you can go
this
on it.
guy says, this guy wrote, like, yo, nature, I'm permanently high after the last Amanita trip. The things you said about psychedelics are really true. Whoa.
I like those tests. I love getting like testimonials and stuff. I always screenshot them and put them on my page.
Because being in the now, you're like permanently high. You can still have up and downs of your life, but if you're completely in the now, that means you've given up your own will to source. Because you've surrendered your mind to the source of mind. And source, God, is not something, it's you. You are source. Yourself, all is self. And when you completely in the now, you don't need your mind, relax. Then you literally like you're home. You don't need to do anything more. You could literally do like what you talked about that Leo Guru doesn't like. Like, you can shut down the no mind and you can be a fucking leaf in the wind. And you're gonna be 1,000 more times happier than anyone in the Babylon, because you're free. You're an eternal soul. You're one with God. You're just floating on a fucking lotus thing in the hand of God. Like,
Hmm. So yeah, well, I mean that there's a few things I want to say, to be honest. Well, I relate to what that guy was saying about him being permanently high after his Amanita mushroom trip, because there's certain trips like where you have an afterglow and it just like never ends. Like you come down from some psychedelic experiences, you're just like never the same person ever again. But right, what you're saying about being just like a leaf in the wind and being enlightened, etc. It's like, right, let's say, like, I think Ramana Maharshi, if I'm not mistaken, he reached some enlightenment state, if you can call it that, and didn't he just like not really give a fuck about like his health, and he just like slowly like didn't he get eaten eventually by something?
he literally did what we're talking about. Like, he gave up his will completely. He moved from absolute silence. Like, he shut off his mind. He just was God. Like, he's the same as the birds and the bees and the wind and the water. Like the
Yeah.
Beatles songs, Let It Be. Like, just omnipresence, moving everything everywhere all the time in harmony with itself. Like, and that's, you can do that, but it's also just as much so free that you can be one with God and move from no mind, or you can be one with God and you can use your mind and you can draw and you can paint and you can imagine and you can do anything all of it is allowed because it's fucking freedom. Like, it's freedom. You're home,
Yeah,
you're done, you're in heaven, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You just want to chill and drop all responsibilities. You never have to suffer again. You never have to worry. You never have to care about a single thing because God is doing everything. You can just enjoy
that's true.
life.
Right, but so what I kind of the reason I brought up the Ramana Maharshi is because this kind of in this somewhat like what we're talking about, right? You never have to suffer again. I think you can understand how I could connect, and people would, when they hear that, connect that and associate that with some form of spiritual bypass, as also it's called. So, like, if you were in like a, I've asked you this before, it's stupid, like, but to be honest, like when I'm in a really high state of consciousness, I've understood, like, because I've reflected on things. Like when I'm sober and normal, if I like fall off a tree and broke my leg, I'd be like, "Oh my fucking God!" And I still would be like that if I was in God. But when I'm on psychedelic experiences and I'm in God consciousness and shit, I can feel that like if I just like broke my leg, I would just like it wouldn't be nearly the same as if I was sober because what I'm saying is there seems to be like this spiritual bypass where like if you're really conscious, whatever that means, that you almost stop caring about your ego's survival. But it's not inherent that you have to do that. But then do you see how, because are you familiar with Spectrum's lyric that I sent earlier, stuck between nothing's real and realistic, mess
Yeah.
around in the third dimension but still a mystic? It's like, so I can enlighten myself, but then also like I there's like in order to be free of suffering, you have to like literally let go of all attachments, do you not? And isn't that
If
like actually quite a challenge for
like
most humans?
it's really simplistic. If you think you are the doer, you will suffer the consequences. If you give the controller to the omnipresent God, your your burden is on God. Like, and I'm not saying everyone should do that instantly or whatever. Like, that's liberation when a soul has had enough of material existence and they want to go back home to the higher astral realms and just be one with omnipresence. But it's true. Like, you can always, this is more true than living in your mind and thinking about that. You're always in God consciousness. All you see is God, and the only doer is God. It's only one light here,
Yeah,
and that is the highest perspective. It's samadhi. That's what this eighth final step of yoga is, samadhi. And in samadhi, sub ek, all is one. There's not two, it's one. And then, who are you
yeah,
to suffer? All you see is the play of God. Everything you see is a play. It's one energy
yeah.
playing with itself, having fun for all of eternity.
Yeah, see that I've come to reckon. There was this weird phase that happened for me over the past 2 months where I realized like it was this like non-duality thing that I like every conversation I was having, I realized it was just like as as Leo says, but this I learned this after because I tried to follow what I was like realizing is like is any conversation like the conversation me and you are having now is just pulled from like a infinite like space of everything that could be said. So then like, I start seeing people as parts of like the yin and yang, or like every color, I like everything became like the opposite of everything else, and I felt like everything had like already happened. It's like I was like nearly. It's like I was like I was seeing. I don't know. It was weird, man.
Everything
It's
has
like
already happened. Creation is finished. We're just imagining what we already know. Like, we're just living it out. We're just playing with omnipresence for as long as we want. If souls want to stop, they can quit it. They can merge back to the river and they can disappear into a bubble of consciousness and they disappear. That's if they don't want to play the game anymore. Like, but those who want are eternally here. We're always playing here. We can be in the astral realm, we can be in the physical realm, we can be in a Babylon age, we can be in a golden age.
hmm.
Those who truly love God and love life will always be here to play.
Yeah, I just want to say quick before I forget, is that what you were saying about it's all one energy is that's part of what I was just saying as well. It's like Ram Dass was saying that as well, if I can quote him correctly. He was saying like today's made from it, tomorrow's made from it, yesterday's made from it, you're made from it, he's made from it, my words are made from it. It's like, and it's weird how you can actually see that. It's like there can, I don't know, man, it's trippy. But then
And then
yeah, go on.
if it, like we talked about, you said you saw it in yin and yang and everything. You realize it's one energy, and then you see that the reality is made of one energy through duality, a prism of duality. And then you see that everything in this whole physical reality is working on duality as one energy, interconnected and not opposites, and they're in harmony with each other. Life and death support each other, like everything supports each
Mm,
other. And then everything becomes
yeah.
super simplistic, like you just see everything for what it is super clearly. Like,
Yeah, that's because when I first reached out to you and we done our original podcast, that was before I really got into Alan Watts properly, and he started to speak just simply of how like everything creates each other, it's just yin and yang. And for some reason, that understanding alone just like helps everything. Just understanding that like all of nature is literally like, you know, like the everything has like a front and a back. And that's quite a weird understanding. When you really grasp it, it like puts you at ease with about a lot of things, and there's loads of wisdom in it, obviously.
it also cancels like battles between seeming opposites, because all of a sudden you see it's actually one thing making two
Yeah,
things.
but the thing is, it's like it's weird how we know. Do you agree that me and you and people of our nature, we seem to know things that a lot of people would think that you can't possibly know, like especially in Western like science, etc., like that. It's like that's how I say it a lot. It's like I feel like I know stuff that I shouldn't be able to know about like what's coming in the future, like because I'm directly conscious of that reality is infinite love and God, etc. And when you become directly conscious of things like this, there's like ramifications of that you can intuit, and then it's almost like what I was saying earlier. It's like you everything's already happened, and when things do happen, it's like you always knew that it would, or shit like that. And do you agree that we feel like you kind of know
Yeah,
things that you shouldn't be able to know in a weird way through
I don't
awakening?
think of it like that. I just think of like the intellectual knowing of society,
Mm.
the way we think about stuff and know stuff through just the intellectual logical mind is a very limited knowing, because we have intuitive knowing, which comes from the soul, which is beyond physical, which comes from an omnipresent plane, the astral plane. And that perspective naturally has a natural reflex, which is way beyond a limited ego intellectual understanding of reality, because it's the source of reality. So it's in harmony with everything, and that becomes our natural reflex. And it's not that we know more, it's almost that we know less. I don't know. I don't think I know, at least. I am. I am being, like I am myself. And through being yourself and getting this conceptual self out of the way, your soul shines like the light it is. And naturally, you become intuitive and you know things. Like you become super aware of everybody's intentions, of everything happening around you. So you can see things before they happen. Or like things that people are not telling and all kinds of things.
There's often I found, well, on LSD, I found for the first time. I mean, I've seen it before a bit, but I felt I could really read. Like, I saw these two people walk down the street, and I could see like everything about them just through like just their body. Have you ever had that? I've heard it quite a few times, but
Yeah, yeah,
that's what
all
I
the
felt
time.
like. But it's like you can see so much about someone, like, but not when you're. I mean, I'm sure you could when you're sober, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I can do it when I'm sober too. Like it's if you're not thinking about your own little story, if you're not in your head thinking about yourself all the time, then you are here and you are aware and you even see, like as soon as someone gets lost in their mind, and if they're thinking about the future and they're stressed, they're gonna make like a face like this, like while they're thinking. Like And when you're
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
you're not even here. Like when you're thinking, if I speak to you while you're deep in thought, you don't hear me. Like
I know, yeah.
you're
And
not.
you can tell like because you can tell when like we've said before, it's like you're up in your mind. You don't see the world, do you? Like you're just gone.
And when you like let go of the big story that occupies your mind from the most of the time, so you move mostly from silence and stillness, then you become super aware of what everyone's doing because you're actually in the moment. You're like an animal. You're intuitive. You're one with nature. Like you feel things in the air. You feel the energies. You feel everything. You feel everything because you're not lost in thinking about yourself because you trust God. And in the now, you know you're like the birds. Do the flowers need to try to grow? Does the birds need to try to get food? Like no, all is provided. It's just here and you're one with it. Like it's a symbiotic happening.
Yeah.
The golden present. Be here now.
Yeah, but it's not as like you can say be here now and then, but like we say, it's not like you actually shut down your mind. It's like when you get to the be here now, that's when everything else aligns.
Yeah,
Like when you're with God, everything else is like done, isn't it?
yeah.
Really, that's
Uh,
how it
if you can literally like to be here now, it's not to shut down the mind, it's to be able to leave your mind alone at will.
feels.
Like right
I got a
now,
question for you.
is it quiet in your mind in general? If it's not, can you just do you have the willpower to just ignore your thoughts for a moment and let it pass? Like when you have water in a bowl and it's waves on it, like maybe you point like put your finger in it, like can you put the finger away enough that the waves can settle at will?
Yeah, well, see, I rarely really like I don't ever well when you if you actually ask me that question, like I mean probably, but I don't actually really like I rarely practice like meditation these days. And I don't remember like the last kind of block where I really mindfully tried to like be outside of my thoughts. Well, at the start of this year, I went through quite a dark phase, and because I was not very stable, I thought, all right, fuck me. All I'm gonna do is just breathe all day and just breathe and try and just because I felt like intuitively that would be more healing than just. And when I'd done that, it was like just enlightenment. I was just at work and things. I was doing deliveries, and like the whole street just looked amazing. Uh, and it was a good. So I just every day for like 5 days. I remember actually. It's like when I used to walk to the shop and things. It was just walk to the shop. I didn't really want to walk to the shop, but as soon as I began to breathe all the time and be mindful and things and be awake, every time I'd walk and leave my house and stuff, I'd be excited for the adventure of what I was going to see on the way to the shop, like because it was like a psychedelic trip.
Yeah. And that's like the key to practice is like, and if you go to practice yoga, the science of yoga, whatever, basically in easy words, like if you're already a good human being, you don't need to stop stealing or whatever. All you really need to practice is to leave your mind alone. And what's left when you leave your mind alone? Are you still there when you're not touching the thoughts? What's left? Your breath, your heart, your feeling, your love. Like you're still here. You're a breathing being, and you can exist without thoughts or without using thoughts, even if they show up. And practicing that is what brings you home to freedom. And then in freedom, if you want to be Ramana Maharshi, you just want to sit in silence of no mind, and you want to let God do everything, and you're done with physical existence, and you're like, see you later, alligators, like, woo! Or if you want to go play and you want to be to service of humanity, and you want to use your mind to make art, to help people, to inspire people, or whatever, like, that's when you actually people make it in their lives, is when they actually get back into the now, into being one with themselves. the present moment, because there you have all the creative juices, you have all of life flowing, you have relaxation, and when you're relaxed, you're creative.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I didn't intend to just say this, but I mean, I can't remember where it stemmed from originally, but it's like what you were saying about how the creativity kind of stems from that place. Like, I think sometimes I find it like I struggle to be creative or find the motivation to do creative things, but when I'm like it mindfully in the center, it's a lot easier to kind of find the motivation in a way. And uh,
Because there's
I
basically
can't,
like the art
yeah,
of relaxation, like the place where you're gonna get the most creativity from, even without trying, is like master relaxing your whole nervous system and your body and your mind, like everything closer and
yeah,
closer to the 0 point all the time. And then when you're there, like when you're in the now completely and you're relaxed and you've actually like you have had a victory over your mind, like finally I did it. I'm not affected. I don't care what a thought says. I don't care if it says something. I don't care if my mind's quiet. I don't care if my mind's loud. I'm just fucking, I love my mind. I can use it. I can leave it alone. I can put focused, concentrated thought from my willpower. I can leave it in no mind. When you won over your mind and you're like, I don't need to fucking do anything anymore. Like you finally like, I'm free. And that's this moment right here, always, if you recognize it.
do you ever find, I found in my experience, or I don't, not maybe not for you personally, but like that um suffering leads to awakening often, or it can. I know Ram Dass would likely speak of this. It's like, because I can't remember how it was relevant, but that's what I was on about when I was saying, like, when I had that dark period, it made me want to pursue mindfulness, and then it led to an awakening. Or like every time I have like a dark tribulation in my life, it just leads me to like higher awareness. Like when I was messaging you this morning, like uh um it kind of stems from like wanting to like get better, and then you find awakening and stuff through that.
Suffering is grace. Like suffering is like technically your soul or God or whatever source you want to call it, calling you back home, like helping you shed your attachment of what you believe that you're suffering, like in
Mm.
return to eternal bliss, return to your being, to your true self. And that's literally in Hinduism and in Ram Dass speeches, like in Neem Karol Babaji's guru and stuff. Like literally, they say if you're suffering, it's God calling you home to end your suffering, like to find the light.
I got a question kind of and again, I don't this is, it's not intended to be like an interview, yeah, but I want to know what you think, because these are things that I'm not 100% sure about in a way. um right, what would you say about, I won't name the origin potential of this, like, I guess kind of seems like an idea, but like there are people who explicitly teach in spirituality and awakening that you created all of this. God created all of this consciousness, done all of this on purpose. Uh, but in terms of it's actually, there's like an active will that has constructed all of physical reality, and that is you and has been you the whole time, and you are actually dreaming it with. So like there are certain awakenings and facets that I haven't like fully awoke to yet, and they seem to be gradually getting grasped by myself more. But what would you think about? Do you think that you dreamt all of this, or like what is it? What is it? Are we in a dream, or what the fuck's happening?
To answer that question for yourself, like you want to dissolve the part of yourself that doesn't know that, because this a deep question like that is not something you can teach someone. It has to be a direct experience. Like I can tell you, you're God, and we're dreaming all of this. It's one light here. God is the doer. Like and you're God, or but you can also like all of these things are just words. Like there
Yeah,
is souls.
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There is one light. There is souls. We're individual images of God, but there's just one light, one doer. If you look from the highest perspective, but it's also free will when consciousness condenses down to the physical reality. You have freedom of choice and all of this and stuff like that. But if you go look from the highest plane of consciousness, yes, you are the one consciousness that is dreaming all of this, and you're completely infinitely free to create this reality as you want. Like your thoughts are things. Thought is the matrix of the world. You can make everything starts with the thoughts. So you can just make, you can become a genius because you're fucking God. Like you can master any craft or anything because all it takes is patience and persistence in the now. And if you're God, then you remember that you're everything, then you love everything and you don't mind doing what you love. You will just be excited by the play. It's all a play, namaste. Like you just fucking go for it.
Well, what you were just saying. Oh fuck! I don't want to forget. Well, one thing that I was going to say is you are at least co-creating it because like words on a bit of paper, they don't like actually mean anything. We just like project a meaning onto it. Obviously, like the words are just abstract symbols, and so we at least co-create it through like the matrix of thoughts and things like that. Um, and hold on, give me 2 seconds. I think I've forgot what I wanted to say. Damn. I don't know. Fuck knows. But all right. Regardless of that, I know someone else. So what we're on about. But teachers, reality has told me, in my experience, there's messages that are coming to me through teachers that I resonate with for the most part, and they're there telling me that there are states of awareness that I can basically feel that I had been like actively constructing the whole thing as the Godhead the whole time. And when I had like a solipsism awakening thing, that was like complete. I was messaging you about it earlier, where like there was no more other. The whole world, I could actually like feel it, kind of like I would walk past my neighbors, and like I was my neighbor, and
Yeah.
I knew it, and I could feel the whole thing, and I'd understood it conceptually before, but like it was to the point where like I couldn't even hold a conversation because like I wasn't even there. Like I could see that like the self that I thought I was until that point, there was nothing there, and then I died, and I was just suspended in like this physical tension, and I just wanted to go back to where the dream was like active. But when the whole world's my body, that's what makes me think like that
Then
when
you
you fully
then you are
understand.
Christ. Then you have your Christ crown on. You died for everybody.
But then it's weird how you come straight back into the duality again. But then when I was in there, I knew
You're
I,
not
f- I
in the duality again. You're lying.
yeah. But it's when everything was clearly my body. That's why I tied it into what I was talking about everything being dreamt by life force, and you are life force,
Yeah.
looking at life force through itself. And then if everything is your body, then it's like it's almost. And the one of the main things that really stuck with me recently is Leo Gura saying that the key is reality is a trick that you're playing on yourself. And I understood that to be the case. Like it seems to just be like an illusion the whole way through, nearly.
It's a
Until,
play.
yeah.
But you can call a trick a play. You're playing someone.
Hmm.
Like it's all from the highest perspective of the God that you're talking about right now. It's all for enjoyment. All the sadness, everything, whatever. If it's the golden age, or if it's the Babylon, or if it's anything, it's all to have fun. It's all to enjoy, to play, to exist.
Yeah. See, I've realized in some states of consciousness and stuff, like I had like a long history of depression. And then I realized like years later that and it sounds retarded, but like it's almost like I learned that I was actually like secretly enjoying it, but I wasn't though at the same time. But
yeah,
get this, like I couldn't have listened, like sad music in general. You can't enjoy sad music having not being a sad being to relate to it.
yeah,
And I loved all that music in my past. Like I wouldn't have been able to resonate with any of that stuff had I not. So it's like I try to find ways of, and then when it's in the past and I'm no longer like actively suffering through it or something, I see exactly what you're on about. It's like it's just an adventure. And let me say this one thing. Have you heard of the people being there was a study done. I made this connection myself. I didn't steal this insight from somebody, but there is an actual study where people are in a boring room and they can either just be bored or they can shock themselves, and it is painful. But the majority of people choose to inflict pain on themselves rather than being bored in nothingness.
yeah,
So do you see the analogy that I'm
yeah,
getting at?
yeah. That's basically it. Like,
Because if you're just in God, in infinite nothing, you'd rather you'd be like, oh fuck me, I'd rather do something.
yeah. And then the paradox is that it's doing both at the same time. Like there are aspect of God that is the nothing all the time, but that perfection of the nothing is reflecting into this infinite intelligence. Like it's the movement of the nothing, if the movement was happening, that's already happened. Like they
Say that last
call
sentence
it
again.
Shiva. They call it, yeah, but they call it Shiva Shakti. Like the nothing that we're talking about, the silence, that's Shiva. Shakti, that's matter, mother, God, Shakti. It's movement, it's energy, that's dancing, it's duality, it's two things. It's up and down, cause and effect. And they're both two aspects of God. But then if you only look from the nothing, you can get like what you talked about earlier, people just shutting down their minds and don't caring about things. And like you can even get stuck in that. Like you can think that's liberation, but you could have way more fun and joy by movement. Like so
Mm.
it's all for enjoyment. Like even that there's someone that needs to be liberated, like or needs to find themselves, like because technically like it's all self.
Yeah,
And the
it's
one
all
that doesn't
just.
remember that is just the illusion that we're playing with.
But isn't it strange how awakening is within, where basically if you could sit here and you took enough of like DMT, then you're just all of a sudden you're just in the nexus of creation. But a minute ago you was just an ego. So like how, because that's what it seems like I could be at work, yeah, just a normal day, and there's nothing that would stop one of my colleagues from just going, oh my god, it's all love, like just randomly, and then just like having a meltdown. Because that's what like doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if people would like naturally like practice like leaving their minds alone, like just as like someone would take psychedelic ceremonially to get to the source, like if you actually practice sciences of yoga and stilling the mind and stuff like that, and they do that at work, they might just go like, holy shit, everything is love, God is love, like all of a sudden. It's just that it's very rare in this age we're living in right now that people actually remember the truth and God consciousness. Like most people are just living in ego consciousness.
I'll tell you what I'm most excited about when you've said this age. So I've been receiving some sacred visions recently on psilocybin while sun gazing, etc. Where I've literally I'm pretty confident that that the way I see it is because God has infinite power, etc. And this is, you can validate this, like I like that, basically, like a movie, like any movie you want, like Avatar, like think about the most crazy, like Star Wars or whatever the fuck. If consciousness can do that on a screen, surely it can do it anywhere it wants. Like it can just, because
Yeah,
so what I'm waiting for is for some like for us to discover some like an asteroid will crash into Earth and it will have like a fucking mushroom on it, and then we'll eat it, and then we'll like go to like some new plane forever, and then it will be heaven. Or I'm waiting for some like full blown like shift of like the whole world, or like I'm waiting for some like an alien to turn up with some new psychedelic. What do you think?
It's technically what you're talking about, like as I see it, and it's all up for interpretation. I see it as that we're all returning to God. Like we're returning to remembering that we're all an image of God. And when we honor this and we're one with each other, this world, this earth becomes a paradise. You live for as many thousands of years as you want. Your body renews itself. You just eat in harmony with nature. You just cut life force and kundalini flowing all the time. All your glands and chakras, everything is spinning and everything's working, and you're renewing your flesh all the time, and you're constantly connected to source. And it's world peace. Like that's the imagination I'm putting in, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do get you. Like, there isn't any need inherently for some next level, like third dimensional revolution. I know that's not what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying, but there are no limits inherently, right? All limits are self-imposed by the mind of God, you would say, for this experience. And so with that knowledge, can't we technically dream anything we want to, including like radical fucking like an entire new dimension of technology that no one's ever heard of, or something like that, like complete novelty.
Yeah, for sure. Like in the golden age, when everyone remembers God on earth, and we're eternal beings, images, and we're all avatars. Like basically, it's like we are avatars of God. We are God's Godhead personality, making itself and remembering itself what it is. And then we're completely lucid in the dream. Like you can have fucking 12 swans flying you on a chariot in the air with a 12-inch spliff and chilling, listening to fucking gangster hip hop, like from the old Kali Yuga, because you fucking want to, and you're like, woo! Right. Like you don't give a fuck. Like it's all God. Like, and everyone remembers. Like it's just the light we're playing with. Like, and that is like we're shifting into that, at least in my experience. But it's always just now. It's already here. Like if you were to go away enough from fucking people and people's quantum fields, and you sit in solitude in a fucking cave or on a mountain, you can very easily start moving reality. Like you can even do it here, but it's like easier.
That's from what I've experienced, is like when I like am directly conscious that I'm dreaming, or when I become like, it's like you could use a lucid dream analogy. It's like I've never lucid dreamed at nighttime, or so they say. Like, have you ever had a lucid dream?
I don't really practice dreaming so much. Like I basically, when I sleep, it's basically most of the time dark.
It's probably when you stop smoking weed, there's a lot more dreams, I find. And Terence McKenna says the same thing. A lot of people do.
Yeah, for sure. It's more dreams, but it's mostly about that I love to smoke weed.
Yeah. I mean, but for me, well, yeah, I was using the analogy of like when I realize that I am dreaming, like this is all the mind of God dreaming, you can kind of influence the dream, because like when I awake that I'm dreaming, I like literally watch the dream start changing. That seems to be like, it's like I'll realize I'm dreaming, and then I'll encounter like a very strange thing that doesn't happen, or like I'll like loads of synchronicities will start happening or something, like when I'm in the high conscious. Like I said to you earlier, when I was on LSD for about 3 days straight, the radio, like every song that come through the radio was literally like talking to me. That's what it was like, talking about what was happening, or what was like about to happen, or it's like, it was so weird. Like all the songs that kept coming through, it was like it was relevant to I was perceiving a lot more salience, or so they call it. Like It just makes me sound kind of
But
schizophrenic. But
it's basically what's happening all the time. Just that when we're lost so much in our minds, we're not aware enough to see that reality is a synchronized happening. And when you become more and more aware and see the now, you just start seeing that it's basically all synchronized all the time. It's just the mirrors of consciousness, and what you put in reflects back. Like, and then you
I know
start,
yeah.
then you get an activated imagination, and like we're saying, God is the one doer. There's only Godhead here. Like, if you're an image of the Godhead, then your imagination is God's imagination. There's no difference. There's no separation in the two. So what beliefs, what conceptual images you imagine yourself as becomes reality in this realm, in many realms too. Just quicker in other realms.
I think I understand. Wait, like
if you walk around and say you're stupid all the time, and you think like, oh, I'm really
I know.
stupid,
I get you. Yeah.
like that's the reality you're putting out in the mirror, and it starts reflecting to you everywhere all the
Yeah,
time. People start calling you stupid, you start acting stupid, like
yeah, I know what you
you
mean. I do get that. It's like if you imagine that you are a material separate being, like you basically are, but you're
yeah,
not. But you do kind of live that.
yeah, exactly. You become what you think, basically. It's also in the yoga text, like what you focus on and what you think you become.
Yeah, I know that. There's this guy I used to listen to called Earl Nightingale. I don't know if you know him. Probably not. He's quite like. But he says the same thing. He says like the secret is you become what you think about. And he was talking about how to achieve goals basically, and that's a lot of it. It's about just directed, just pull them through the mud. They just drag them through, and then but it's all about taking control in the
Yeah,
present moment, kind of.
and concentration, like one pointed concentration. Like this is mala beats. I don't know if you know what it is, but it's like from India. You use it for yoga and for meditation, and you either use
One at
it
a
for
time, and
chant.
you count them.
Yeah, you don't not even counting this. It is always 108 beats. So you start from the top, and you either do a mantra like Hare Krishna, and then you change the beat, or like Om Namah Shivaya, or you do breath, like you do one breath, and you change the beat. And the first times you do this, your mind is gonna try to tell you like, oh, you can do something else, or like you don't need to do all of the beats, like, and then you just master your concentration, and that's how you get more into stillness and more concentrated thinking and more creative imagination. So like your imagination is just like basically your creative power. Like you can imagine that's how you make music, that's how you do anything, like it's your imagination.
Yeah, all stems from awakening, really.
It comes with it, literally. Like it's like find God, seek the kingdom first, like it says everywhere in every holy book ever. All is added on. Like it's not like you, because you see the core of reality, how everything works. Like how would you,
Yeah.
now you're in harmony with it, like you don't need to try hard anymore. Like
I wanted to say earlier, like exactly what we're talking about right now. You said to me before, psychedelics will give you everything. Obviously, it depends, but what can we call, like, when you realize that you have everything and that you've had multiple, I know that you're in it right now, but for me and many people, I know Ram Dass speaks of it, is that recently, since I've started to awaken to like infinite love and like heaven on earth, basically, it's like through my sober normal states, I can be in quite a low vibration, but then I take a compound, and then I suddenly realize that I'm in the middle of infinity. And if I'm in nature, it's like I'm extrasensory perception so much, where the trees and the birds and the river and the sun, and I'm out and I'm on, and this compound has opened the floodgates of heaven. What the fuck is, like, because I couldn't see it before, and then I take it, and all of a sudden it's like you see everything that you couldn't see a second ago, even though nothing's actually changed. You get me?
Yeah,
And that's what you're in
yeah.
now, right? In a
But
way.
it's what we're always
Or
in. And the thing is that your breath is psychedelic. When we're
yeah.
breathing properly, deeply connected all the time, you're literally like on a microdose of DMT all the time. And what like when health is wealth and you're eating alkaline and your body and your glands, like your chakras are your glands in your body, like in the mirror of the physical reality. You're like your adrenal gland, your like at your root chakras and things like that, and like your what is it called? Like thyroid gland is your throat chakra and your pineal gland is your third eye. And these things can get clogged up and fucked and not working properly in your body. And when you take psychedelics, you get to see, you get a artificial kundalini awakening. Like you get all your chakras flowing,
Mm.
everything pumping. Your third eye is opening, boom, 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 boom. And you get to see how reality looks when everything is in harmony. Like artificially, you get kundalini raised to your spine, like the electricity you talked about earlier, that you can focus and concentrate and move up your spine.
Yeah.
That starts flowing by itself. And that starts flowing when we're having fun, when we're really in the moment, when we're really concentrated, when we're really enjoying ourselves. Like when you maybe played a football game when you were a kid, like
Mm.
when you were young. I don't know if you were in a football match, like if you were playing in a serious sport or something, and you're
Yeah,
in the
I get
match.
you.
And then you're just so focused,
Interesting.
time doesn't even exist. Like you're just like, poof, I'm there, I'm with the ball. Like you're not even thinking. Like
Mm.
then Kundalini spurts out and flows too. And then through shitty diets and stuff, like in the Babylon in this age, we clog all these things up, and our glands and our organs and stuff start becoming not working and not happy cells, and they're too acidic and they're not alkaline and they're starting to die, and we're starting to literally be dead instead of alive, like we're killing ourselves with food.
It's
And
weird, isn't
then
it?
yeah, and then you don't see those things when you go out in nature because you're too much in your analytical mind. You're trying to plan. You're in fight or
Yeah, I
flight all
get
the
you.
time.
I
But
understand
otherwise,
actually, yeah.
if you're breathing and you're starting to take care of your body and you're breathing deeply all the time, life just becomes more psychedelic and nature looks like you when you're on acid. If you go look at the fucking flowers, even if you're sober and you're breathing and you're really there in the moment, and you look at the fucking geometry and the leaves and all the veins and shit, like it's trippy. Like it's fucking
And yeah,
intelligent.
recently I realized just that it's like how important the food is. Now I know that you can kind of Ramana Maharshi your way out of the food limit, but like or awaken yourself out of the but like this is why I feel like fear is actually grounded, and this is like the problem that I have kind of is like is that there's awakening, but then there's also like I feel if I eat poor quality food, I inherently am not happy done, and I feel that I should try to control reality to prevent this from happening again,
Yeah,
because I feel I have fear about toxic food, as I'm scared of having fluoride in my brain, etc. And what do you think
but
of
can
that fear?
I think that fear is more dangerous than the actual things themselves. Because
I like that.
you're making a reality. So like for sure you can be aware of that these things are not healthy and all of those things. But in like if you practice what you were talking about, like Ramana Maharshi or other traditions of Tantra, like tantric practices and Agori practices, which is where you use the dark ritual, like the scraps, you eat meat, you do this, but you praise it all as God. And you look at it from Godhead perspective. It's all the holy light, like it's all truly God, like it's the one light, every atom, every molecule, everything, everywhere. Then that
That's,
attitude will be different than if you walk around and think that it's bad for you all the time too. But this is people
yes,
that are
it's
on the path. Like if you're talking about cleaning the body to wake up when you're like really stuck and your body is sick, like in your body, like when you're starting to get old or you're starting to get sick and your body's starting to feel like you're tired every morning, and then you go like raw vegan and fruitarian for like a month, and you just drink raw juices and stuff, like all of a sudden you're gonna be more in the now, like you're gonna be more aware, like you're gonna have more life force. But if you're on a spiritual path and you're looking for liberation, you're looking to just always be happy no matter what, you can transcend all the diet things and all the things easily, because happiness doesn't come from anything else than being.
It's like you said earlier, there are no wrong energy. Or you sent me a screenshot of someone who did say that. It's like we can discriminate and live in duality of this is good, this is bad, or black might win over white, or dark might win over light, whatever. But really, it's life force. So you can kind of see through the illusion, can you not, in a way? But then it's tricky because there's different planes of existence. Like it depends with. Like if you identify a lot with your body and like your that's what hurts, I think, is if you identify with the 0 point and external so-called perception, then you can't really die. But if you identify as the small self or the ego, and you're always on a mission trying to win as this ego, then you're trying to control. Like it's almost like when you live in survival. Like survival is just like a curse.
Yeah,
Or am I?
yeah, but basically it's fear. Like just imagine,
Yeah.
it's fear of death. It's fear of death is in the core of it, because like when you before you go to sleep, you go to bodiless consciousness. You can go to the astral, you can go to a lucid dream, you
Hmm.
can go in a higher plane, your soul can go wherever it wants when you're sleeping. So you basically die every night. You go to a bodiless consciousness. And people are happy to sleep. They think sleep is pleasurable and think it's nice to sleep. And they're not afraid of it ever. Like people are not afraid to sleep. But then you talk about death, which is
But see,
just
I'm not
sleep.
afraid. I understand, but like it seems there's something about it that it's like I'm not scared really to shoot my head off with a fucking gun. Not really. Like I know I'm not, and I've known this for a long. I'm not actually scared of the abyss, but I'm scared of. I'm not scared. Like there's fear in my life, but I'm not actually scared of like killing myself point blank. But I'm still concerned. I still like if am like if I eat toxic food or if I eat sugar and stuff or something like that, then I feel I'm scared of not reaching my potential, but I'm not really scared of the existential void. I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but you can also take and you can call that fear, or you could twist it and transmute it, and you can take it as a motivation. Yes.
Yeah. It's aspiration. That's the thing that Buddhism and a lot, I think, leave out. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm really aspirational, and that constant striving has fear baked into it because I'm always trying to grasp to build something.
Yeah. And that's where like Wu Wei comes into the picture, like where you both can live on the relative plane and do a little bit of those things, but you're actually also surrendered to God, the one doer, and you basically know there's nowhere to be and there's nothing to do. Life is bliss. Feel the love here and now. Like
Yeah, yeah, like it is true though when you say it. Like I know it seems so stupid to think in a way that you ought to like worry about. But it's a paradox. That's why it's so tricky. Is because reality is literally infinity, and that's why this conversation is
but
like
it
right on
but
the
it's
edge of
also
language.
it's also simplistic in one way, because we're looking at infinity from one light reflected into two things, up and down, left and right, and duality. So when you start picking it apart, it's not actually that hard, because it's up or down or left or right, and you can try them and you can make and see how they work, and it's not so complicated once you get down to the basics on how consciousness work, how actions work, how thoughts work. Like, you start to see clearly when the mind slows down, like the whole process, how reality is created, especially if you're on acid, and you can see like your torus field, and you speak a word and all of reality is morphing around you, and you like feel energies coming towards you. But in the end, it's all about like Hakuna Matata. Like, you watch the fucking Lion King, Timon and Pumbaa, like, it means no worries for the rest of your days. It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata. There's God for kids that's just playing with us.
I'm not. Obviously, I do know that song, but I don't know. I couldn't recite the lyrics to you. I don't know how long this. I was Instagram basically. When it gets to 1 hour, it just cuts off. I thought it'd been an hour a while ago. I can't. I don't. I got no idea. But we've definitely had a good talk so far. Anyway, I think it's been good.
Yeah, it's been good.
I wanna, if you don't mind, unless you wanna, you can do what you want. But I feel, so you know that reality is love and is the manifestation of the highest love, etc.
Yeah.
And you've heard Mr. Traumatic's song called Retrospective, have you?
Yeah, of course.
He says, one of his bars in that is, every single thing you ever wanted will be yours. It's when you realize it's nothing you acquire. Right. Because I'm God and I'm dreaming everything, and everything needs contrast, I have this intuition that, like, although I have everything I want already, because what you do want is a bit of turbulence. Like, you know how Alan Watts says if you could dream any dream you wanted to dream, you would dream infinite fantasy and fulfill all of your desires, and then you'd get bored of it. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So, like, I have an intuition that, like, literally, like the ultimate, like, that this adventure of my subjective experience, if you can call it that, is literally going to be like the ultimate movie of all time, and like, and that that the universe is always like secretly conspiring in the experience, like, I that's because I understand that reality is infinite love. I've had that exact consciousness multiple times, and with that there's deeper ramifications, and as I watch the awakening come into fruition, I feel like that I'm about to witness like the ultimate, like, if I'm God, surely I would make this as awesome as possible, right?
You're already witnessing it, like, it's already happening, and the more you recognize it and actually be in the moment, in all the happenings, and recognize the synchronization, that what you're talking about is already unfolding like that. It's already, this moment is always happening to make your life as good as it gets. Like, it's trying to hint to you, to take the hints, to bring you to the highest excitement every moment, to your highest
Yeah.
time. Like this, like, God is always with you, like this infinite love, which we call God, like, it's always conspiring for us. And we are shifting age, like, in my experience, in every trip and or meditation I
Yeah.
had, like, what we are talking about is becoming a remembrance globally, like.
Because there does actually seem to be, like, I follow quite a lot of like these kind of like mass awakening commentators, and it seems like there's an actual shift happening in the general, especially on the online space. That's for sure. Like, so much stuff is picking up that I never thought would gain traction the way, like the way that the psychedelic revolution's happening, and but yeah, I seem to be like, I notice that I am actually slowly manifesting everything that I want. Like I can see like aspects of my life that if it does like when I'll look at some of the music and this and stuff that I've made while I'm on psychedelics, and I can intuit that like I think it will go somewhere. Like you now, you're making your music. When I'm in God consciousness, and I can see how reality is love. I can also see how the universe has like the ultimate plan of love, and it sounds like wishful thinking, but
But it's
then why
not
do people?
really. It's not really wishful thinking. Like it's actually what is happening. Like the
Yeah,
creator
what? Yeah,
made this moment as good as this can get. Like this is it. Like, and when you
that's
get in touch with that
yeah.
one doer, like it's effortless. You're like just doing what you love, and it's just flowing, and you got the whole universe with you, and you just tapped in and turned on. Like,
But when we say wishful thinking, like what if? Because people have this negative, like, oh, wishful thinking. It's like, yeah, but I mean, if the wishful thinking was right, wouldn't that be the best thing ever? Like,
yeah, for sure. And it's
so
like wishful thinking only is wishful thinking if you're actually doing nothing with your thinking. If you're having really positive and wishful imagination and thinking, and then you take action on that thinking, you're a fucking genius instead.
yeah, because I've found that like being like overly positive in a like a manifestation kind of objective is like it almost you can kind of speak truth into existence like crystals. I, I tell myself that they're helping. I don't know if they actually are, but if I do,
You're
then
the
they do.
placebo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So if people want to placebo themselves into a shitty materialistic paradigm, and I want to placebo myself into God realization, then I'd rather
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, you're using your creative power for something that serves your life. Like instead of hurting yourself with your imagination and thinking, like,
My friend started a clothing brand, and one of the facets of it was called like delusion is real, and he just speaks on how like subjective it's like you know how people when you hallucinate on a psychedelic, like people the way that people say is like, oh, but it wasn't actually on the real layer. It was just on your fake layer. That's what it means by delusion is real. Like subject, you know, there's a everyone assumes that there's like an objective layer, and it isn't just the qualia.
basically, like if you get to the core of it, there's nothing here, like no thing whatsoever. It's one energy, and words, sound creates reality. And what you speak becomes reality. If you speak things from the 0 point and you're aware of that you're the creator, especially because you have a one point of focus in the now, then you speak things into existence and you watch them manifest. You think it and you do it and you speak things into existence because even your thoughts are even energy and vibrations, which you could call sound in one way, like just in your mind. It's all sound and it's just a ball of nothing, emptiness that is creating through sound, movement, and vibrations, which people call Maya or illusion and all of these things, but
Yeah,
it's actually reality too. There's not a separate thing. Like the movement, the what we call this illusion and physical reality is the nothing too. It's just that in movement.
yeah, I know what you mean. It takes a while to grasp these things as well. Like I hear them conceptually, and then like it's weird how now I can recognize like always that everything emerges from nothingness, and that's exactly what makes it everything. It's weird. Uh,
Yeah, and if you're everything, then like literally, if you get yourself into the awareness that you realize you're everything and it's basically nothing, then if you speak and think like concentrated, then everything you want wants you because there's no separation in the two things.
yes, that's true. Can I ask you? Uh, I had an experience on 12 grams of Liberty Caps not long ago, and I felt like I nearly astral traveled to like a beach. Like I could smell the air, I could hear the trees. I knew that I was about to go there, and I was literally transitioning to like completely teleport to another third dimension. Have you ever, can you tell me if you've had an experience that literally bends space-time due to your awakening? Like, what is because when you first took LSD, you said that you was going through like visions of past lives or something.
Yeah, literally went like what you're talking about. I ascended up to heaven, like a place outside of
Yeah.
time, eternity, where all of time was already happened, and we're eternal beings in the astral plane. And you could just watch everything from all knowingness and play out things and look inside of time, turn it upside down, and you still know like you're always in the astral plane, even while you're in this reality. Like there's no difference. Like it basically just took me, it cracked my whole ego and like removed time, and suddenly I was in an astral eternal paradise where you know everything about everything because you are everything.
See, that to me is like that's the thing that I feel like I'm trying to get to, because if I can imagine, it's like it's basically this incarnation the way it is now is the higher self is like as this ego, I feel like I don't have infinite will. But if I can awaken to the true self, then maybe I can just do it. Then I can just escape the limits. Like it's almost like I know once I get there, I'll just want to go back to the way it was. But I feel like I'm trying to
You want to go beyond
jailbreak.
boundaries.
Have you seen my new Instagram page that I called Jailbreak Reality?
No, but you want to go beyond boundaries, beyond limitations. Like you want to
Yes, I would
remember that you
like
have infinite power and infinite choice every moment, that you are source itself to become fucking fit if you want, or become a musician or whatever the fuck
yeah,
you
that's it.
want.
That's
If
it.
you
Like, I want to. Where is my powers gone? That's what I want to know. So
it's your
that's what
mind,
I'm
mind
trying to God
control,
realize. Yeah, sorry.
mind control, bro. It's like
Oh
breath.
God.
Breath is mind control. If you breathe a lot, deeply connected, your mind will slow down and you have more just thoughts that you're actually thinking more than autopilot thoughts about whatever that's coming and going.
Hmm.
And after a certain point, if you hold your breath and you stop the movement of your breath, it goes quiet. Easier, at least. Because there's no movement. There's no movement of energy. It's not coming up or down. And the more you start to play with your breath, if we want to tap into your infinite potential, do 30, 40 minutes of breathing every morning. You trip on DMT every morning.
Yeah.
Like, you actually just have to, like, take the things and do it. Like, you just sit down and fucking do it. And you do that for, like, 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you're going to be wondering what you were doing before. Like, and it starts with not believing your thoughts, because thoughts are the boundaries. They can, like, if you said earlier, like, if when you think something, you become it. And when we just think and we say things like we're like this and we're like that, and even if we just say it and we're just making it up, because you're infinity and you can be whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Anything that I say, I am. But uh, yeah, I do. I always learn a lot whenever I talk to you. That's the thing. Like, even though I'm not trying to interview you or learn from you, but I just like it's because you know a lot about a lot of different things. Like you listen and get your content from a lot of different sources, but we both have recognition of the same like fundamental
Yeah.
experience. I guess so.
I've just read a lot, like, as I started having this experience that you're also having now. Like, I just started reading, like, all about yoga and pranayama and breathing and the self, like the eternal self, like what oh my God, like what is this? Like has anyone experienced it before? And you start reading, and you in a past life or God or whatever, a image of God in oneness has already mapped it out for you. So if you forgot, here's the steps, bro. Like come back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's almost like, in that sense, you can see how if we did literally take on every incarnation, then we best help each other awaken to help ourselves. Like it's like a selfish motive to be selfless.
Exactly. It becomes a paradox. Being the most fucking selfless person is the most selfish person because you're being nice to yourself everywhere.
Hmm.
You're just giving yourself the best in every moment.
See, people like as Western culture and Babylon and that, they can see a lot of this talk to be like crazy, but most people don't actually seek truth. And when you do pursue truth, you there's no like other conclusion than what we're saying. Like, even though, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds crazy because it is. Like, reality was never supposed to be sane.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
even though it is.
But it's also crazy. Like it's crazy because we're living in a crazy society. We're living in artificial society. We're living in a society that is not in harmony with Mother Nature, with the Creator. And of course, in the big picture, everything is in harmony, good and bad, up and down, and all these things. It's just a play. But we're not supporting nature. We're not remembering the oneness. We're not taking care of the planet. Like we're on the other side of the spectrum right now, and we're gonna bounce back now. Like it's just whew, and we're gonna be like, holy shit, let's take care of nature, let's take care of the animals, let's be nice to everybody, let's not have any wars, let's have world peace. And you recognize the one energy that we're all an image of, and you remember your soul, and we come back to that, like,
Hmm.
and that's what heaven is the start of, and this is the motherfucking wave of it.
I can't even see you anymore. It's literally been like pixelated for ages.
I'm just rolling a joint anyway. But like
Hopefully.
reality
Yeah, go on.
reality isn't even crazy. Like of course it is crazy, like it's fucking one light and doing things, but not knowing reality is even more crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
Like to just walk around every day and like not like look at life like and be like, whoa, what is this?
yeah, I know. But that's why, because it kind of hurts my soul, yeah, the fact that, like, I know that there's no separation, etc., but nobody around me, like, literally, I swear, I've been trying to find some people who are, like, actually awake, but I don't know what. There must be something in the fucking tap water, because everyone I talk to is such a low vibration, and and the LSD made me realize that I was vibrating very low as well, so now I'm trying to cultivate to not be like this, but it's like no one. If I call like, if I say nature is beautiful, people just call me cringe, and that's like
Yeah,
everyone around me. I'm literally like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like if I tell someone, like everyone around me, like, and it's just one particular example in that, but it's like all my colleagues and that, like, they have no aspirations and they just like laugh at mine. Like my whole culture just like takes the
yeah,
piss out of anyone who has any dreams. It's
yeah, for
weird. It's
sure. But when you get back into like Christ consciousness and what we're talking about, you realize that they're like in actuality on soul level everybody loves each other,
yes, it's true.
and they're actually just speaking from a level of fear and insecurity, and they're
Yeah,
not actually talking about you, they're talking about
I know. Yeah,
themselves.
I know. You are right, but it's sort of like it's just difficult when everyone is literally like, I want to find like one other person that's like nearly on my wavelength, but I can't. I'm not putting
But
myself on a
the,
pedestal, but it's like everyone's vibrating so low.
yeah, but the more you actually get in alignment completely within yourself, it's gonna show up sooner or later. Like there's no
Yeah,
doubt about that.
yeah,
Everything attracts what it already is. So the more you love these people, no matter what, the more you stop taking them seriously when they're trash talking you, and you're actually like in your awareness, you're like, oh, I know they love me. They just don't know how to express it.
I am like I don't take it serious really, but like I just find it funny that everyone around me is like the same person. I know they're not, and I don't want to seem like I'm closed, like I'm not being mindful in that, but it's and they're not the same, but it's like I already know what everyone's going to say before they say it because everyone's literally not, no one's touched a fucking psychedelic. That's the problem.
Yeah, but basically you're in the middle of fucking Babylon. You're in the UK. Like, what can I say? Like,
Yeah,
try to save some goddamn money and go for a travel as soon as you can. Stop spending money, even if you have to sacrifice your health or even not smoking weed or something for a while. Fucking save some money, go on a trip, and let God take care of you and vibrate you into some resonance with some beings that are in
yeah,
harmony with your soul's journey. Like,
that's what I need to do. I need to go to a spiritual kind of place, like some eco village or them rainbow gatherings or some ayahuasca retreat. I swear.
yeah, anything. Like, it's some go fly on a soul adventure, and then after you've done that, it's even easier to be in the Babylon and stuff like that because you've just cleared up even clearer within yourself, like, after taking a little retreat from the world.
Yeah, I feel like me and you should both go to some. You've been to ayahuasca retreats, haven't you?
No, I haven't done ayahuasca retreat, but I've cooked my own ayahuasca one time. I'm
Hmm.
going to Thailand in a month, 10 days from now. Me and all.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the world really. Like I say, I feel like I've always felt like I feel like I'm slowly getting on like some higher vibrations or some quantum enlightenment thing. But when I first reached out to you guys, I felt like I was vibrating a lot lower, and I feel like that's I feel like I've just been in this same physical place for so long, and I've been eating the same Babylon food. Obviously, I can awaken out of it, but I feel like fundamentally my trajectory is just trying to raise my vibration.
For sure.
Just because I can see how low I was vibrating for so long. I never used to use that word, but it does make sense now.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's also nothing wrong with it because, and then at the end, the time you're vibrating what we could call the highest is when you're in total acceptance of all happenings and every vibration and every emotion and every thought, and you're not picking this one or that one. All duality is gone, and you're just in all loving, embracing awareness. That's the highest vibration. Anyway.
It's like acceptance of a negative situation is a positive experience situation or something. Eckhart says,
Yeah,
I believe. It just seems like the key is to always accept the moment because you can like what is meant to be is meant to be. So like no matter what you think or try to do, you're always here. So you can have fear, but at the end of the day, you just have to accept the moment, and that's
yeah,
like, yeah, that's it.
and to even do anything about it, you anyway have to accept the moment. Otherwise, you're just thinking about what you're going to do and instead of actually changing it from the now. And when you accept everything and do this total acceptance of all happenings without choosing this or that thought or this or that emotion, you also get the infinite intelligence, the all-knowing, omnipresent soul level automatically. And God's consciousness is your consciousness. So naturally, your intuitive level just becomes more and more, what do you call it? Supernatural, godly, or whatever. But that comes from the total acceptance, like, and that brings you into the fucking now, like, that's where all the power is anyway. With your breath in the present moment, you have control over your mind, and if you have control over your mind, you have control over your emotions, and if you have control over your mind and emotions, you can make any actions happen any moment towards whatever dream you want or whatever goal or habit, and you have total willpower to change any habit at any moment.
Yeah. Again, it just seems like the only worthwhile, if you can even call it that, thing is to awaken, whatever the fuck that means. It's just like, it's like people can run around pursuing things for years, but like what they were looking for was actually just like here the whole time, in a way. Like, yeah, I was gonna say this before actually. It's like things like depression, yeah. Like I don't understand how I managed to fool myself for like 8 months that I was depressed. But then if I just wake up, I'm not depressed. Like, and that's what blew my mind because like I was so like I was in this complete illusion for ages, and it was just crushing me. And then I just realized, like, I come out the other end of it, and I was like, what was I on about like, that whole time? Like, I was just in the present moment, and nothing was even happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you literally just fucking the mind just fucking takes you on an adventure.
Yeah, you're losing control over the mind, and you're losing control over your imagination, and your imagination is being based on fear, and you're imagining things that are not even happening or that you want to imagine. And it's just basically like you leave your mind alone, you come back to no mind to learn how to use your mind.
Yeah, yeah. It's necessary. Like, not that it's the pinnacle of everything always inherently, but I think everyone needs to pursue like no mind and meditation and stuff at least for a while. Like, not that you can't come out of it again, but it's very needed.
It helps life with everything. Like it just shows you how easy and simple it become. Like if you think fucking 100 times, I'm happy, I'm motivated, I'm gonna do 50 push-ups every day for 3 weeks, and you think that all the time, that's gonna become your reality if you keep a one-pointed focus on that. If you think every day, I'm depressed, I'm always tired, I always want to lay in bed, and I just want to lay here and think about how horrible it is to be me, like then that's what's gonna be happening.
Yeah, it's just you create like the whole thing. But I knew that I was doing it at the same time though, but it's like I didn't want to stop it because I think it would like dissolve my identity, like, or some weird shit like that. Like I was going through like some awakenings, and then I had some like ego backlash shit, or like where I knew that I was creating my depression, I think, I I didn't want to dissolve it via meditation because it was not comfortable, and but then I just ended up holding on to this weird state for months, and it just like it was not healthy. It was weird. I I did not want to do breath work, and I actually couldn't nearly. I remember like I went and I started the breath work, and then almost after I started it, I just turn it off and like just go back to bed and it's like I just couldn't do anything for months. I think I just took I posted a video, Leo Gura, saying that if you abuse psychedelics, your life will turn upside down and you'll stop being able to think straight. And you commented bullshit with a laughing face. I get what you mean, because that's why they were so tempting, and that's why I was abusing them, because they enlightened me immediately. But at the same time, I was taking so many mushrooms, I feel like I actually did lose the plot for a minute. But
But that's the point. You're supposed to kill the plot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of
Yeah, I
course, you
never heard
lost the
it like
plot
that.
while you were dying. Like you were like, "Oh shit, maybe I'm losing the plot," and then you died and you became everything.
That is rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like what happened to Connor Murphy, kind of.
But it also depends what you do with it, because you get a death and you get a psychedelic ego death, and then if you use psychedelics and you keep doing weird habits and stuff like that, it might not do the same thing. If you study yoga and you study mindfulness and you
Yeah.
do pranayama with psychedelics and stuff like that, it'll give you everything. Fucking, you'll be on the highway driving max speed all the time in consciousness, learning very quickly.
Yeah, 'cause I was having like I think it's almost like psychedelics won't inherently give you everything or always. They did at times, but like I just had trips sometimes that were, if anything, like psychedelics are like a mirror. And I was having trips during that phase when I first reached out to you, where it's like I'd constantly have bad trips. Like I've had probably more bad trips nearly than I've had good trips. These days they're really good always because I've healed. But when I was taking them in that point, like I would take them and it would just like it would manifest hell more than
Yeah,
heaven.
yeah. But that's because you're there to judge it. Otherwise, you would have died.
I'm there to what, sorry?
You were there to judge the experience. Like in the other time you were talking about, but like recently when you took 12 grams of Liberty caps, you actually died.
Yeah.
Like that's the trip that gives you clarity, like that, and resistance to that can give you a psychosis. But then when you've died once, you know you can't die, and then you lose the fear. And once you lose the fear of tripping, and you know you can't die, and you can reborn and die as many times as you want, you can go to the afterlife and come back without a single fear in your body. Then like you don't have bad trips anymore, because what's the bad trip is just you resisting while you're leaving your body or dropping your identity for a moment. Like,
I had trips years ago and things like where I knew I was dying and it was very painful and then but yeah, the 12 gram trip is like I was I awoke seemingly like I was having altercations with other beings. And then after I walked away from those altercations, I realized that there were no other beings the whole time, and it was just me somehow or something. And then after that, I went and searched up Leo's video on solipsism, uh, actualized.org, and he said that there is no self. And as soon as he said that, I could see exactly what he meant. And then from that point, there was just like tension, like it was just like physical, like light and dark and like things, but it was all me, and but I didn't exist. It was just like there was just one thing, and I was that,
yeah,
but I wasn't the self that I thought I was, and it's like. And I had a glimpse of it a few weeks before. Again, like I think Alan Watts says, like when you look for the self, if you are paying attention, you'll find that it's not there. And when he said that, I got a glimpse of it, and it's like there's literally just empty. There's no
yeah.
observer.
It's like it's no separate observer,
Yeah,
or
that's
there's no
it.
separate self. Like it's one thing, like you said earlier. It's literally just one thing happening.
But it's more like it feels like there's no distance. Like
Yeah,
everything that is visually here, it's like I am actually right there
you're
with it.
beyond boundaries. You're in all those places technically. Like,
It's like it's not like I'm here and that's over there. It's like if
no,
I actually wake up, it's more of like
we are everything everywhere. That's Buddha consciousness. That's Christ consciousness. That's the heavenly realms when you ascend into that consciousness and you don't see a separate self anymore. You remember that we're all one and you're not gonna fuck with yourself anymore. Like, and you love everybody and everything because it's just you here. It's just one. It's not even just you. It's one light. It's one energy. And you can call it Buddha mind or you can call it Christ mind or Christ imagination or whatever you
Or the
say.
big
And it,
self, maybe.
yeah, the eternal self. And it's what
It's
Jesus
strange.
was talking about. Every prophet ever talked about it. And you're getting it. Like it's the fucking greatest gift of the world to remember.
Yeah. But it's really nothing it's nothing like the ego self. Like the ego self is just like this image in the cognitive realm. But then the true self, as I understand it or as I know it, is basically anything and everything. That's the true self. But it took me a minute to grasp that, but it's this deep knowing that anything that could ever appear is the true self, right?
Yeah, all is one. It's a field of energy, interconnected.
I think of it as like well, when it's like duality, but when you understand that it's all duality, that's when you can almost see it being non-dual, like it's like a divided Godhead,
Yeah,
and that's when everything looks like the yin and yang, and everything you can like almost predict the future because that's how it feels.
yeah. And that is the ultimate heaven, at least in my experience that I would talk about, is duality recognizing non-duality and living in duality, consciously aware of everything is one thing.
Yeah.
And that's the fifth dimension, that's the higher realms, or whatever you want to talk about. But that can be at other dimensions or other planes or whatever, but it can also be right here, right now on the earthly plane.
And there's a lot of there's a lot of like ramifications that come with these deep understandings. Someone commented, ever done salvia?
No.
I haven't. No.
I've smoked weak extracts of it, but never the shit that people talk about, like that you just fly away on.
Neither. Never done salvia roll.
But it's fucking amazing Buddha field. Like it's just like you literally just become the center point, and you can come to a place of total acceptance of everything, and you stop fighting within yourself, within duality, and it just you become basically you become a nobody.
Hmm. That's like what Ram Dass says. Like, I think what I've come to understand recently is like, if there's a story of an ego, that's where suffering is. Like, I'm trying to do this, but this, and that's what creates suffering. And if you're not in the story, you're like, there's no self. So there's like, if you don't exist, you can't suffer, kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah, and when you exist, you're basically instead your existence of being like a separate self that suffers. You're one with the one self that has infinite selves and infinite intelligence in the image of this one light. So it's also empowering. It all would like when you give up the control and you give up your ego and you see God in everything, you also, as you give up all control, you actually get the real controller back too, because you see how reality works.
Yeah. It's like the Tao Te Ching, it says just that, I think. Like, in order to be straight, let yourself be crooked. In order to gain control, let go of control, something like that.
The fast for push the flag to and I'm drinking homemade apple juice I picked from trees. I'm on like day fucking 15 or something of eating alkaline. or even more. And like 10 days in, I poop weird green things came from my intestines, just like
Oh,
felt
really?
like big nasty things from the toilet.
Oh, God. There's something for me, the best I ever felt was when I was like on my best diet in combination with psychedelics. It's like
Yeah,
the
that's life force, bro.
I know it's like the best thing ever. It's literally like you feel like you've literally got the key to the universe. Like you're doing breath work every day, you're doing grounding every day, sun gazing, you're on the alkaline diet and doing the cold showers, and then you were fucking also on like shrooms and LSD and that. It's literally like heaven on earth. That's the key. It's about just like synergizing everything, I swear, in a way.
It's basically about quitting all the addictions and just taking things that are in harmony that supports breath. Like you want to cannabis, nature, and psychedelics, they support organs and your breathing and everything, life force. So you want to take things that are alive, that supports life. And for example, pure weed, real weed, like now I just smoke pure weed with the CBD weed and hash. Like I don't drink alcohol, I don't take caffeine through coffee, no tobacco, and then naturally like, and you take psychedelics and you eat high vibrational food, like actual food that the creator made, like fruits and things like that. Then you feel like how your vibration changes and you become way more light and fluid with reality.
Yeah, I it's crazy a lot to the diet, and it's as soon as I get on the higher vibration foods and stuff, it's like the way it changes, like my whole state of being is crazy. I'll show you. But I was about to say I can't believe been eating dead food. Right, this is the very last phase of my life where I'm gonna ever allow this stuff to enter my body. But it's imagine like I don't know if you recognize these. This is like see, it's all good letting go, but tell me if you could relate to this. Ate loads of these. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be too happy with yourself.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
like,
like it's like sawdust, bro.
yeah, but at the same time, like, look at that you can be happy with it and fuck it. Like, in the process of doing them, you will
Yeah.
let go of the attachment to doing or not doing it. And once you find the peace and the motivation in all situations and total acceptance, you also at the same time get more willpower to do exactly what you want. So it's like a paradox. Just fucking let it be and trust yourself. It's all part of the process.
Yeah. You just have to trust the universe. That's like the main thing that kind of like saved my life while I was that see that's what I mean. That's why you learn from the darkness because when it was like my darkest period, I just had to like completely trust the universe and then yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I normally learn like never have to eat like I just learn like so much anyway, like through that kind of sometimes uh darkness, but then also it could be a lot worse and I just need to be
Like
grateful.
if you eat shitty and you're grateful and you anyway do pranayama and you do your spiritual practice to move life force and you like literally God is breath, like that's the closest thing you can find to God, like that supports all of life unconditionally every moment. It's the prayer that we're all being supported all the time. That's what's giving us life. That's it. So if you dedicate, no matter your diet, if you dedicate 30, 40 minutes of your day to concentrating on God, which,
Yeah.
and then maybe even praising the breath or praise life and with loving thoughts or mantras like Hare Krishna or Om Namah Shivaya or stuff like that, you can transcend constantly tune with the source anyway, because you recognize God in everything.
Yeah, like like when I've discovered kind of the breath work healing it is, I realized that like I'd be better off like in nearly eating worse food, but doing breath work and eating good food. Like, so even if your diet has to be temporarily due to a crisis or something, there's still a lot more you can do. Like, it's like there's people at my work that I work with. They are like paranoid about the chemtrails and like the poison and that, but then they still eat fruit pastilles and smoke cigarettes. So I'm like, what? Who cares about the chemtrails if you're willingly like drinking from the tap? So there's a lot more you could do about it, but people just like being victims, so they don't have to take responsibility, I guess.
Yeah, like breath transcends everything, in my opinion, because breath is pure life force. And if you start playing with the breath, like for example, like we say, eat real foods in the science because you want the alkaline level in your body so you don't get inflammation and mucus and things like that. That's why you want an alkaline cells and blood, and you don't want your body to have to fight when you eat acidic food to make it alkaline. Then your immune levels go down. But then there's people like Wim Hof, for example. He has scientifically proven that well, after 1.5 minutes of holding your breath when you've oxygenated your system of doing Wim Hof breathing, you're actually
Yeah.
alkalizing, oxygenating all your cells in your whole body from the breathing and the
Yeah.
breath hold with the oxygen. So there's many ways to maintain your vessel and keep it your cells alkaline and stuff like that. But the highest level, if you like really want to vibrate effortlessly, like, but it's not even the highest level because Wim Hof is a fucking superhuman and he eats like he drinks beer sometimes and eats pasta and eats this, but he does breath work like a fucking king and exercises and cold therapy, like.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways you can play this fucking game, but breath is the most powerful. If you're ever looking for the key to master your life and get motivation and like make it and start being creative and having stronger willpower, it's practicing your breath every day.
Yeah. Because some days I'm not even conscious about my breath, like for like the whole day.
You want to try to reach a state where you're like conscious the whole day, like
Yeah.
almost every exhale you try to be there, like every inhale and exhale you try to keep them deep and connected.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting there. I find that it only takes, yeah, like if I just do this if I do this like 7 times, and then on the seventh one I hold it and squeeze it to my head, I'll fall over, and it only takes like none. Like I won't actually fall over. It depends. Like the breath is like it makes everything dissolve. Like I can just, do you know what I mean? Like I don't have to do a full Wim Hof. I can just do like 5 breaths and everything will fucking vibrate loads.
Yeah, but you can also do it like a different way. You can like just practice the breath to not try to hold it at any point, and you just do
Yeah.
gentle, connected breathing. And when you do that, like you instead of like trying to get high through like oxygenating your whole body quickly, you're
Mm.
just every exhale relaxing.
Yeah, like you just
Just
let go. Like you let everything fall away with your breath,
uh,
kind of.
and then you slowly just relax your whole nervous system, and that just slows down your whole mind. And then do that for 30 minutes every day. Your life's gonna change. Like it's gonna be like you're on a low dose of acid.
Yeah. See, I find that to be the key. Like, if I had like an infinite supply of LSD, I don't think I would ever like. I think I'd be sorted from that point on. I'm
That's
not
what I
even.
realized too. And since that moment, I've always had it.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's because that's what I had 3 normal days of my life, and they were not normal days. But like, it's just because of this magic liquid. It literally like opened heaven.
You got good
But the
smoke
thing,
and LSD fucking got it all, bro.
yeah, yeah. I asked you, can I take it 2 days in a row? And you were like, sure. Everyone on Reddit was saying, no, that's such a waste. I realized that tolerance basically doesn't exist how people think it does. You can take mushrooms every single day of your life, and you'll be on mushrooms every single day. Like, like you do get tolerance, but not really. You can just breathe and like, because if you can get
Yeah,
there while you're sober, hmm?
yeah, it was like you get a tolerance. Like I took LSD every day for 6 months
Oh
or
yeah.
more when I was in Portugal, and you get a tolerance, but you always become trippy. You always become high. It always happens something. After a while, you just get like less visuals.
Something when I was this is recently has been the most I've ever done psychedelics in my life, and it's like go so deep with it, so many days and like every weekend, etc. Where I don't actually even know where I've been for the past 2 months. But like kind of, it's like it's like everything just like merges into one. I have no idea when my last awakening was. It's like every week I'm having like 2 full-blown like encounters with God. But I mean, I don't know how you have them, but that's just psychedelic abuse for you. But I think that
No,
might be mushrooms. Like. Hmm?
you should just like what you said earlier. I think you should just get acid all the time if you can. Maybe not take it at a fucking bus and stuff, but like just practice taking LSD and doing breathing and stuff, and like intentionally connecting to God, and you're gonna see with psychedelics and intentional breath work, you can hack your whole fucking brain and reality.
It's so weird how there's so many like again with awakening, it's like you can exist in like a completely like stupid state for years, and if only you just breathe properly, it's like you can, like you say, you just like hijack the whole system, and then everything is like it's like you flip the entire script with your consciousness alone.
Yeah,
Like I don't know when the fuck this Instagram is gonna. Um, it's been more than an hour, hasn't it?
yeah,
Surely.
it's been a long time, I think.
Right, I'm scared though because I feel like normally Instagram cuts it off after it's been an hour, but it hasn't, and because it was bugging earlier, I don't want it. I pray to God it doesn't just like delete this whole video or something. Imagine. I mean,
It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be there.
I don't know. We'll see. I might. I don't know how you feel, but
Speak.
talk. Yeah, true. I don't want to just manifest. But I might end the live if
Yeah, let's
you're
do it.
feeling that.
It's been perfect. It's been a long one, and it's been a good one.
It has. So I have no idea how long it immediately, and then I'll export it from Instagram, etc. But yeah, if anyone's watching this, I don't know if anyone can copy the link. I might try and do that because that's what these things are like, man. They're tricky. It should be okay, but oh, here we go.
Been a long one,
Oh,
and it's been a good one.
there you go. It's a paradox look. So I have no idea how long it immediately, and then I'll export it from Instagram, etc. Shut up, bro. All right. I'll probably fuck off now then if that's cool, Mr. Nature, bro.
Yeah, man. It's been perfect.
It has. I mean, it's been. Your camera didn't look like that the whole time, but it looked better on the first half. But yeah, I'll let you go then. All right, love, bro. This has been
Peace,
a good
bro.
talk.
One love. God
One
bless.
love, infinite blessings.